Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Caribbean sees a big jump in asylum seekers. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, June 16. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The number of people seeking asylum in the Caribbean is on the rise. That disclosure from Protection Officer at the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, Ruben Barbado, who says the region is not immune to the world refugee problem. Speaking to CMC News ahead of World Refugee Day, which is June 20, he said thousands of people are coming to and through the Caribbean seeking sanctuary.
In the last year, more than 5,000 people seeking asylum. It's a huge increase from the previous year, and in that regard, the states are taking measures and we're working with them in order to help them to be prepared in case of emergency. Countries have responsibilities. The countries in the region, most of them have ratified the Refugee Convention, and we're working with the regional organizations such as CARICOM in order to help them to be ready, have their legislation in place, build up solidarity among themselves, working with civil society in order to allow them to be protected and not to be able, those people who need protection not have to go back to the countries of origin.
Barbados says there was a 257% increase in the number of asylum seekers in the region between the middle of 2015 and mid-2016. Statistics show the number of refugees in the Caribbean steadily increased from 770 in 2014 to 837 in 2015 to 976 during the first 6 months of last year alone. At the mid-year point in 2016, an estimated 2,851 migrants had been reportedly involved in maritime interdictions throughout the Caribbean region. They included 1,657 Cubans, 173 nationals from the Dominican Republic, and 488 Haitians.
Many people who are coming here seeking asylum. Of course, the numbers are not big if you compare with worldwide, but for countries that are small in terms of resources and all that, it represents, certainly a concern and also a challenge, but also an opportunity, because refugees are also coming with skills. You have doctors, you have entrepreneurs, you have teachers, you have farmers. So in that regard, they can also contribute and help the economies. And if they are allowed to actually, overcome the awful situations they came from, they could actually be able to be successful members of the societies. They have the opportunity to do so. Caribbean countries are diverse. They have received people from many years ago, and they keep on doing so, and it's just a matter of giving them an opportunity.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday announced his reversal of several policies that had been put in place by the Barack Obama administration to improve relations with Cuba. Describing the policies as being completely one-sided, he said his new policy would tighten rules affecting travel and sending funds to the Caribbean island nation. But while Trump is not reversing the establishment of key diplomatic and commercial ties, he said the Obama administration's March 2016 deal with the Castro government was terrible and misguided. Trump has nonetheless promised not to close the U.S. Embassy in Havana and said commercial flights from the U.S. will continue and Americans will still be allowed to return home with Cuban goods. But he signed a presidential directive calling for tighter enforcement of a long-standing ban on American tourists going to Cuba.
I am announcing today a new policy, just as I promised during the campaign. And I will be signing that contract right at that table in just a moment. Our policy will seek a much better deal for the Cuban people and for the United States of America. We do not want U.S. dollars to prop up a military monopoly that exploits and abuses the citizens of Cuba. Our new policy begins with strictly enforcing U.S. law. We will not lift sanctions on the Cuban regime until all political prisoners are freed, freedoms of assembly and expression are respected, all political parties are legalized, and free and internationally supervised elections are scheduled.
Members of the Organization of American States, OAS, will discuss a resolution on the Venezuela crisis at their 47th General Assembly next week. Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Second Vice President Carl Greenidge, who made the disclosure Thursday, said the resolution addresses issues related to the Venezuela Constitution, the rights of citizens and challenges they face, the availability of resources including food, and how best humanitarian aid might be secured. It also makes reference to the rule of law and the political space provided to people who are NGOs and members of civil society. The three-day General Assembly will convene next Monday in Cancun, Mexico. Greenidge says the resolution was drafted during the 29th meeting of Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the OAS in Washington, D.C. at the end of last month. But he says he's not sure if it will pass, as there are some OAS member states that are opposed even to the deal that Venezuela should be discussed, believing that the hemispheric body should stay out of the country's affairs. Venezuela has been plunged into turmoil with falling oil prices, reports of massive food shortages, and violent clashes between the country's security forces and citizens over President Nicolas Maduro's move to install a constituent assembly to rewrite the Constitution. We continue in Bermuda, where the family of former tourism minister Sean Crockwell revealed a farewell note he wrote for his family and the country before he was found dead last weekend. Although family members stopped short of confirming that the 47-year-old father of two took his own life, the letter read by his younger sister on Friday confirmed police suggestions that there was no foul play involved. Crockwell was found dead at his home last Saturday, and the note he left revealed his struggles.
These are his words. This decision was because of health reasons. I have been sick. I have been struggling with Crohn's disease for the last 20 years. I persevered through it to fulfill my political and professional duties and obligations, and I am proud of the things I was able to achieve and the contribution I made to my country. It was my greatest honor to represent Bermuda at the highest level, to have given 10 years to my country, from becoming the chairman of the United Bermuda Party to an elected member of parliament, the creation of the Bermuda Democratic Alliance, the One Bermuda Alliance, the Minister of Tourism and Transport, and finally to sit in your house as an independent, ultimately becoming a voice for the voiceless. It has been rocky at times, but to have done all of that was the greatest achievements and proudest moments of my life. My parting words to you are that I want more than anything for the country to come together and confront our differences and figure out a way to work together to solve them.
The former member of the ruling One Bermuda Alliance, who left the cabinet and the party last year to sit as an independent in parliament, further urged Bermudans to love more, saying that life was too short for hate.
We get caught up in people's personalities and we ascribe negative labels to people because of our differences. I hope that those who feel animus towards me can get over that, because I am at peace. I wish everyone the best good health, prosperity, and love, because that is what we are missing. We are missing that love thy neighbor in Bermuda.
Crockwell's emotional sister added that her brother was among the greatest contributors to this generation of politics in Bermuda, exercising integrity, accountability, dedication, and courage. And she assured that her family was committed to being a part of the change that Crockwell wanted to see in the country. A call for hangings to resume in Jamaica. That story and more when we return.
Ready. It's another episode when we out on the road. This is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink. King Baba and the guitar. Every fact that I boy keep on calling me wrong name. But that's okay, cause that's my babe. I don't understand how wearing a name tag on me. Don't know what to say, he's still calling me wrong name. Don't get vexed with me. Don't say that.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
There's a renewed call for hangings to resume in Jamaica. It comes from MP Ian Haley's, whose Hanover West constituency has been among those areas where murders are taking place. He says people are living in fear and something needs to be done.
You're afraid to go to church. You're afraid to go to night service. You're afraid to go to your kids' graduation. You're afraid to send your kids on the road. We are living in fear.
He says as it is, the justice system is not a deterrent to criminals. He believes that many Jamaicans, including some of his fellow MPs, share his view that hanging should be resumed, and he has a suggestion to start the process.
Whether it is by referendum or otherwise, in terms of hanging, you need to call your member of parliament, and you need to call the parliament. So I'm saying to every Jamaican who believe that we need to bring back hanging in this country, because I can tell you something, Jamaica. Is either them kill us or we kill some of them to ensure that the majority of Jamaicans live.
And that report from TVJ News. The Guyana Police Force is reporting a reduction in serious crime, but there has been an increase in robbery with aggravation as well as rape cases. Ivor Wharton of Capital News tells us more.
Serious crimes are down 5% at the end of May 2017, after a comparative analysis with that of the same period last year, according to the Guyana Police Force. The force in a release said several factors are responsible for the reduction in serious crimes, among them the social crime prevention programs organized by the force. The police in the release stated also that the large number of firearms seized and gun-related crimes testify to the relationship between the police and the public. For the year, there were 47 murders, of which 22 were disorderly, 9 as a result of domestic violence, 8 as a result of robbery, and 4 executions. The force has also recorded a 60% increase in robbery with violence and larceny from the person, while there's a 10% increase in robbery with aggravation and rape. The Ghana Police Force says it will continue to place heavy emphasis on training to build the capacity of the force. From January to May of this year, 60 ranks were trained in several areas, among them cybercrime, gang prevention and intervention, and combating human trafficking and extortion.
Still in Guyana now, the opposition People's Progressive Party has confirmed that 2 of its MPs who were recently charged in connection with a multi-million-dollar fraud have been stripped of their U.S. visas. The party said Dharam Kumar Siraj and Nigel Dharamlal recently received information from the consular section of the U.S. Embassy in Georgetown that their non-immigrant visas have been revoked. The PPP said the 2 legislators have since asked the American Embassy to provide the information that led to the revocation of their non-immigrant visas. It said similar letters were received by other persons who are also facing fraud charges in relation to the Guyana Rice Development Board. The party said the visas were revoked before the court determined whether the men were innocent or guilty. They have all been accused of omitting from the general ledger of the Guyana Rice Development Board a total of 362 million Guyana dollars while they were members of the board between 2012 and 2015. A human rights lawyer in St. Lucia is calling for an urgent resolution to allegations regarding extrajudicial killings carried out by police in 2011. The call has come from coordinator of the National Center for Legal Aid and Human Rights, Mary Francis. Earlier this week, the head of the delegation of the European Union and to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Daniela Tramase, said she was confident that recommendations contained in the CARICOM implementations, or that's the CARICOM Implementation Agency for Crime and Security, or IMPACTS, report into the matter will be carried out. But Francis, an attorney, told the St. Lucia Times online publication that even though she wants a speedy resolution to the matter, she believes the integrity of the process has been eroded. She says too many different people have become involved and the whole process should not have gone the way it did. Francis is adamant there is something the population is not being told. She said, quote, whether it is the characters behind the scenes involved, whether they are supposed to shield certain people, the politicians or whoever, and the whole possibility that bringing the matter before the court might implicate certain people, we need to know, end quote. And ahead in Newsline Sport, the Brian Lara Cricket Academy to host the CPL playoffs and finals. Stay with us, sport is next.
Your heart to the 21st edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from the 22nd to the 24th of June, featuring Shabba Ranks, Ultimate Rejects, The Boozman, Mobado, Jack Pure, DJ Private Riot, and back together again, Square One. Also performing Third Word, Voice, King Mighty Chalk Dust, Credence Clearwater Revisited, Ed Robinson, Ricardo Drew, Tedison John, Felicia Ross, Brianna D, Lyrical, and Goo Goo Dolls. For more information, log on to www.stkitsmusicfestival.net.
If you like dancing and whining and fretting till the morning, if you like drinking, masquerading, live music always playing, if you like islands of blue seas where people always smiling, if you like street jams and bandstands where people will be jamming, don't you miss this time, no. In this country, our festival, our legacy. Don't you miss this time, no.
It's official. The region's newest cricket facility, the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, will host the playoffs and finals of the 2017 edition of the Caribbean Premier League. The announcement was made on Friday by Trinidad and Tobago Sports Minister Darrell Smith, who was working closely with cricket legend Brian Charles Lara in negotiating the bid to stage the finals there. More in this C Sport report.
The Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Taruba will host the playoff and final match of the Caribbean Premier League, CPL, come September. The news was announced today by Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs Darrell Smith, who mentioned in May this year that the facility was being considered as a potential venue. Now, the release said Minister Smith worked very closely with Sports Ambassador Brian Lara to negotiate the $1 million bid. The $1 million will be actually paid in TT dollars, the equivalent being 6.7 million TT, which saves on the limited foreign exchange. Now, 50% of 3.35 million TT dollars will be paid in kind, which includes a waiver on the cost of the rental of the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, ground transport from PTSC, police, fire, hotel accommodation, etc. The other half will be paid in cash.
Still in cricket, regional 4-day champions Guyana Jaguars will now turn their attention to the upcoming CPL. The South American Caribbean side began early preparations for the August 4 to September 9 affair. Isan Griffith of Capital News spoke to the team's head coach about their preparations.
Guyana Jaguars is back at training following a short break after successfully defending their 4-day title. The franchise team had a full session today at the Guyana National Stadium. Speaking to head coach Royston Crandon, he said the intention to get the players back in shape for several upcoming tournaments. The annual Caribbean Premier League will commence in a few months' time, and several of the cricketers will be on show. Some of the local cricketers will be representing the Guyana Amazon Warriors, their home team, while Crandon is the assistant coach to Roger Harper.
Guys had a couple weeks off of the 4-day tournament. We started our preparation about a month now, and the guys been really putting in the work. We're trying to push in as much as we could at this time. We have programs for all of the guys. A lot of them been doing a lot of strength work, a lot of gym work, speed, agility, and we've been incorporating some fielding, fitness and fielding and so on. And we were able to do some work indoor. And due to the weather, bad weather, we couldn't use outdoor, and we actually been doing a lot of fielding stuff outdoor, and the guys been working hard, and preparation been going good so far. So this is the last day for this week, and we're starting back on Monday. So everything looking good so far. Just for us to continue to work with our program that we set out and to achieve the goal that we set out. We have guys preparing as well for CPL and in August, and guys who probably will get an opportunity to tour with the West Indies, England. So we've been working with those guys as well, a lot of work. So I'm happy with what we have done so far since we started back, and as we look to improve as we go along.
India has named a strong 15-man squad for the 5-match one-day international series against West Indies bowling off in Trinidad and Tobago next week. The powerhouses, who clobbered Bangladesh to reach the final of the ICC Champions Trophy in England on Thursday, will be led by captain star Virat Kohli. The team includes the core of the unit currently at the showpiece in London. However, selectors have opted to rest opener Rohit Sharma and Seema Jasprit Burma, both of whom played in Thursday's semi-final. Selectors have brought in teenaged wicket-keeper batsman Rishabh Pant and 22-year-old left-arm spinner Kuldeep Yadav, both of whom are uncapped in ODIs. India will face Pakistan in Sunday's Champions Trophy final before flying out to the Caribbean, where they face West Indies in the opening ODI at the Queen's Park Oval, on June 23. The game is the first of a doubleheader at the venue, with the second ODI set for 2 days later. Over to the women's division, where senior player Anissa Mohammed has praised the 17-day preparation camp in Southampton and says it has left West Indies women equipped and focused enough to win the upcoming ICC Women's World Cup. The Windies women wrapped up the camp on Tuesday at the Aggies Bowl, where they focused on all aspects of the game and, more importantly, used the time to acclimatize to the notoriously difficult English weather.
We've had a chance to get acclimatized to the conditions and also to the pitches. So over the past 2 weeks, we've learned on some of the lines and lengths we have to bowl to, the pace that we need to bowl to, the fields that we need to set. It's not going to be back. It's not going to be like back home in the Caribbean or in Asian conditions. So it was good to be here for 2 weeks in advance and trying to get all boxes ticked for the World Cup.
Mohammed was part of the West Indies side that was good enough to reach the final of the last 50 overs World Cup in India 4 years ago before going down to champions Australia. The Trinidadian has been an integral part of the side's success in recent years and also featured prominently last year when the Caribbean side lifted the T20 World title in India. Mohammed said she believed West Indies women could now go one step further and also win the 50 overs title.
I think we have a really good chance of winning this World Cup. We've made it to the finals of the last 50-over World Cup, and I think after winning a T20 World Cup last year, I mean that is also motivating us to want to win the 50-over World Cup as well. And I think the spirit in the camp is excellent, and we're looking like we will win this.
The World Cup runs up from June 24 to July 23. Switching sports now, Jamaica's Reggae Boys will now shake off the 3-1 defeat against Peru and focus their attention on the Gold Cup. But as we hear in this report from TVJ's Spencer Darlington, the 2016 Gold Cup finalists will be without the services of some of its star-studded players.
A 3-1 defeat is expected to leave a bitter taste in anyone's mouth, but it's not the exact case for the Reggae Boys, who were beaten by Peru in their friendly international on Tuesday in that country. Assistant coach Jerome Waite says the result was disappointing, but the game must be seen for what it was.
Well, first and foremost, remember it's a practice game, and we play at a high altitude, and that is over 7,000 feet above sea level. It wasn't an easy one because one of the main objectives was to give these local-based players the opportunity to compete at this level for the first time and to get a taste of it to see what it's all about.
However, Wade believes that the local-based players fell short of what was expected.
They didn't show much. As what I outlined earlier, the altitude was pretty much difficult. But I think they have done their part, in which we still expected more, but it's a work in progress.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Follow your heart to the 21st edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from the 22nd to the 24th of June, featuring Shabarans, Ultimate Rejects, The Boozman, Mobado, Jack Pure, DJ Private Riot, and back together again, Square One. Also performing Third World, Voice, King Mighty Chalk Dust, Credence Clearwater Revisited, Ed Robinson, Ricardo Drew, Teddyson John, Felicia Ross, Brianna D, Lyrical, and Goo Goo Dolls. For more information, log on to www.stkitsmusicfestival.net.
Celebrating 40 years of fun in the June-July sun. Vincimas 2017. Enjoy the exciting blend of mass and painted steel and glitter. There's a Monday street party like no other. And the explosion of colors at Mardi Gras. You'll be left out of the Vincimas 40th birthday celebration. Evo 4.0. Evo 4.0. There's Kaiso and the energy at Soca Monarch. June 30th to July 11th. Vincimas, the hottest carnival in the Caribbean. Check out Vincimas on Facebook or carnivalsvg.com for more details. Vincimas.
Ready for Mars.
Again, the major developments of this day. The number of people seeking asylum in the Caribbean is on the rise. And in sport, the region's newest cricket facility, the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, will host the playoffs and finals of this year's CPL. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports around the clock, log on to CarlaNews.com. We'll be back here again on Monday, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.